This episode is sponsored by Pet Matrix Premium Canine Supplements. Straight Up Dog Talk is super excited to be partnered with Pet Matrix. After exhausting several other pet supplemental brands, I am now seeing the results that I have always been searching for Toby and Fitz. Pet Matrix supports all three pillars of canine wellness using their cell matrix delivery. It delivers nutrition directly into the cell. If you're looking for a supplement that pairs with nature and science, look no further and get your dog on Pet Matrix today. Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk, a new kind of podcast where no topic is off limits. We're bringing in experts and owners to have the conversations we should be having as a dog community. Each week, a new guest will share firsthand experiences, educational resources, or professional guidance to help you learn and grow along with your dog. You won't get one perspective here, you'll get them all, because every dog is different and every owner is too.
You can follow along on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Straight Up Dog Talk, or by visiting www.straightupdogtalk.com. Tune in from any of your favorite podcast platforms.
Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk. I'm Em, and we are back again this week, unfortunately without Josh, but we do have a very special guest, Aaron, joining me today. How are you doing today, Aaron?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. I know a lot of you guys are probably familiar with Aaron. Most of you are probably more commonly associated with his dog, GiGi, Sweet GiGi, and his mission with the bully breed bunch. I don't know why I always want to say brunch, but I always am like, oh, bully breeds and brunch. Like, that sounds amazing to me. But you could probably do that, you know?
That's a good idea.
It is kind of obvious, actually. But you guys do this in LA, and now you're starting to spread to all different kinds of places all over the United States. And I know you have a really big vision for this. So I'd like you to enlighten the audience. Tell everybody what your mission is. Tell everybody what you do. Tell them about the large scale, reactive dog training. Just fill us in.
We started in San Diego, and it was crazy because it all started after I lost my senior dog. So I had a lab and a pit, but then after I lost my lab, it expanded from that because people were just like, hey, do meetups, my dog. People were afraid of my dog too. And I was like, all right, I'll do my research first. And that's when I kind of reached out to Sailor Jerry on Instagram because I want to do my research before I did it. And then we started having large scale meetups, which that's for the community. So I wanted to bring people together for a healthy, safe environment for other bully breed owners, that are misunderstood because of our dog, which is crazy. And then it started off kind of just maybe one a month, and then it expanded. They're like, hey, do one every week. I'm like, okay, I'll try. And now we have events in Los Angeles and San Diego too, where we work with still the community, where we have pack walks throughout the week. But the one that's more focused on now are small scale events where we work with reactive dogs. I'll call it extra personality though, because I feel like every dog is reactive in a sense. Every dog has a trigger. We want to give like the human that safe space where they're not anxiety filled because their dog's going to react to certain surroundings, and we show them how to socialize, work through those triggers. It's more about the connection with the human than what's going on in the surroundings. So we're fighting stigmas, but we're also tackling human barriers too, because what you come to find out is when you do this, a lot of people are apprehensive, or a lot of people don't want to hear about it because it's a black man running with a pit bull or a lot of things. So we're not just stuck on the dogs. We went from bully breeds to King Corsos to Rottweilers to Dobermans now, and now we're on the human side. So when you see this space of people coming together from different backgrounds, you see something truly special.
And I love that you're people inclusive, you're breed inclusive, and you see everything. If you watch enough of your stuff on Instagram, I don't know that I've seen like a lot of small dogs, but I know that I've seen everything. I've seen shepherds, I've seen labs, I've seen some smaller dogs, and a lot of obviously pit bulls, and I have seen the Kenny Corsos. And I mean, you guys really have the Rottweilers, a lot of Rottweilers. You guys have a really good mix of people. And I think my favorite thing about what you're doing is just going through your comments and seeing all of the people saying, oh,
I'm not sure if this is right for us, but I really want to participate in this. And every single time you're like, no, come, please come. We'll help you. We'll help you be successful. And I think that that is like the most encouraging thing about this. So how, when somebody comes and they are struggling, let's say they can't get in within 20 feet of the other dogs, how do you assist them so that they can feel like they're part of the group?
It's my favorite part is, and there's me and Jerry talk about it so much. We got stuck in the past of how we thought dogs were supposed to be trained, per se. More it's like a bond for me. So once you really talk to the people and put the focus on the bond, so I'll walk up to them on their way because they're obviously nervous to walk into the space that we're in. And I'll introduce myself and I'll tell them, I'll say, hey, if today you just want to work on neutrality, so the dog could just sit with you in this space and find his comfort zone, we can focus on that. It's more of like what's comfortable for you and your dog. So you're not adding anxiety to yourself and anxiety for your dog. So more of the first times people come, it's neutrality they work on. But as you'll see in the event, they kind of come closer. They'll start to ask like, oh, I want to do that one. Like, because they see that this space is not really to put pressure on anybody to be better. It's literally just allowing you to do whatever you want to do in this space to help your situation more. So it's not really like saying, hey, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. It's putting, the awareness on, let's look at our dog's threshold. Let's look at our dog's body language. It's communicating with us the entire time. It's up to us as humans to see what they're trying to communicate to us.
That's a question that I have for you because I haven't really clarified this. I guess I haven't seen it on your Instagram page, and I haven't really even thought to ask you just in our DMs, but are you a dog trainer?
No, so that's like one of the first things Jerry asked me. She was like, where did you learn this? So I was like, I love dogs. I've had so many different type of dogs growing up, a chow, lab, a husky, pit bull, all these different things. And I don't know, I just like to research things and ask questions. And when I saw that Jerry's available to ask questions too, and then she sent me some of her courses to kind of like dive into more of the arousal part or just any questions I had, and I still do. So I have a lot of friends through Instagram now that train that they answer my call every time I have a question. Because I understand it's more people are either hyper focused on science or hyper focused on this or hyper focused on something when there's so much more to it than just one thing. So I think that's what opened it up for me, honestly.
I completely agree. I actually had this conversation with Jerry and Denise Fenzi, and then Madison, who's been on a couple of times as well, regarding the fact that, there's this huge dissonance between the category of, balanced, let me put that in air quotes, balanced trainers, and then the R positive community, and how much friction there is between the two, and why that's so unnecessary. Because while I can see both sides of the spectrum here, I also feel like if we could work somewhere in the middle, we could come up with new solutions like what you're doing that really help people thrive in an otherwise contentious situation that's just not necessary.
I even said that I actually talked to Jerry this morning, and it's a very, and that's why I appreciate her, because she's just there, for the dog and the human. Like, she's there to connect that make that bond with them. And what you'll see is a lot of, I'm not going to say like the ones I've met just in San Diego, just across the board. I get messages all the time. There's a lot of ego, in the dog training world. And it's not fair to the dogs or the humans involved either. So it's difficult when you run across somebody that's never met you and they are a trainer and they kind of want to be involved in the community, but it's just like they have their way and they're just like, well, and so there's a lot of opinions and there's a lot of opportunity for change. And that's what I was telling most people. We're not just focused on one thing, man. We're just trying to bring down so many barriers, but, patiently, one step at a time. But there's too much ego in the dog world, way too much ego in the dog world.
There is. And the conflict that results because of that is just, it's ridiculous. We've got dog trainers attacking other dog trainers when we should be working together to find solutions. And obviously there's so many things that we need to fix. We need to fix the fact that there should be less of an issue when it comes to racial diversity in all of the pet professions. That's the word I was looking for. Pet professions. So groomers, walkers, dog trainers, veterinary assistants, kennel assistants, veterinarians, all of it across the board. I mean, you don't see the diversity that you should see. I mean, if dogs are diverse, then why shouldn't the people be taking care of them be diverse as well? Because that mix is what makes everything work, right? If we don't have a little bit from everybody contributing, then we're not actually getting the full picture. And I really think what you're doing is such a great example of showing people how well we can work together if we just give each other a little bit of space and a little bit of trust.
I think that's the biggest thing, but it's just, a lot of people are stuck in the past. A lot of people are, they like the divide. Society likes the divide too, in a sense, because it's like a power struggle. They like to keep that power struggle. And so a lot of it is talked about sometimes on my page, sometimes in discussion with my community. And it is sad. A lot of people don't like to get past things. So a lot of people like to stay in that little safe bubble that they're in. And the biggest thing I think me and Jay talk about the most is the differences. I think that's what makes it special is the differences of people and the dogs. Like, everybody's different. Every dog is different. And there's a beauty in that. And there's a history behind it all. I was actually having a discussion about Los Angeles today, because it's a lot different of approach for San Diego, because I grew up, near there. So I understand, when I used to have a dog growing up, it was for protection, so a lot of people don't understand the history and the culture behind that, to where we thought we had to have a dog for those reasons. So the approach in San Diego has been easier to, bring about, because a lot of people have already been that way with their dog. Within Los Angeles, we're in the belly of the beast, to where there's a lot of racism out there, to where felt like we had to defend ourselves. So a lot of people look at these dog owners like they're terrible dog owners when they love their dog. They just have a companion differently than somebody else, because they feel like they had to. So we were never allowed to, growing up, we never thought we could bring a dog in the house. So it's a lot of discussions that need to be had, but people don't want to get past their differences. But that's why it's so special to me, because I don't mind bringing these discussions up at the table.
Okay, well, let's bring that up to the table then, because that's interesting for me, because evolving from not being able to have a dog into the house to doing what you're doing now is a massive difference. So how did that happen?
Well, growing up, and that's a lot of discussions we have within, my family, or people don't understand the culture behind it. There's a lot of history behind it too, to where, especially in Los Angeles, a lot of people did have dogs to protect themselves, whether it was they thought they had to protect themselves from police, from other people in their neighborhood. They just felt safer. And that's where the pit bulls kind of came in. We felt safer with them. They were still part of the family for us, but we just had them for different reasons for everybody else. And so as time went on, and I saw people bring their dogs in their house, I never thought that was something that was possible. And you start to understand dogs at a deeper level. And the thing about it, I tell most people, I never judge anybody. If somebody still has their dogs for protection, whether it's a Cane Corso or Doberman, or, that's why I tell most people, you see a German Shepherd for protection, people are okay with it. But if they see a black person with the pit bull for protection, there's a problem. Same thing with when people go to Home Depot, wherever they go, and they get bad looks because they have a pit bull and the color of their skin. It's baffles me sometimes, because pit bulls, when they're bully breeds, everybody knows they're wonderful companions. And I just think that is a discussion that needs to be had. And that's why I do appreciate, I'm in the Los Angeles community now too, because I'm not going to shun somebody because they have a pit bull for protection. That's their companion. To them, that's what it is. But we can work through that still. And we can still work on that human to dog connection and kind of break through that barrier.
Which is, like you said, people have to be open to change. And I feel like we're starting to find that right group of people that is open to change. It's incredible how, on Instagram, all of a sudden, I'm apprenticing with Jerry. And so that opens a bunch of doors up for me, because it leads me into the community that she's leading, where I see her making all of these waves of changes. And it's so inspirational that, you just want to be a part of it. And there's going to be a point, hopefully one day, fingers crossed, that this podcast starts traveling. And the goal would be to and bring my reactive dog to a bully bunch meeting and hang out with you guys and see it in person. And then afterwards, sit down and record a podcast episode and tell everybody, this is what happened. This was, my dog was crazy. It didn't go well, or it went super well, however it plays out, because we're going to practice so that by the time we meet you wherever you guys are at, hopefully we'll be able to actively participate in a way that's, wonderful for us. And if not, it'll be a way for you to engage with me in a completely different setting and help me work on stuff that, I wasn't able to see on my own. And I think that that's a huge part of what you're doing, is that you're out there helping people see things that they didn't see before.
Yeah,
and
I think that's it. I think that's the biggest thing with everything is that when you come to the space, I'm not going to tell you what to do. The first thing I always ask people is, do you have a trainer? Do you do training? That's the first question I asked. I was like, what are you trying to work on today with your dog? Like, what are you trying to accomplish coming in this space? Because a lot of people have different answers. Sometimes it has nothing to do with wanting a trainer. It's just wanting to be there for their dog in different aspects, whether it's like, why is my dog anxiety filled? Things like that. So when I don't have a set expectation for any event that I have. I think the only thing I want to do is help. The main thing is like, how can we help them in any capacity that we can help them? And that's the biggest thing. And that's why I appreciate Jerry so much, because the free courses she gives out, her being there for the community. And we have so many different events for the community that help them in that way. But the biggest thing is what you'll see is when you come to the events, you come to multiple ones, what starts to happen not only for the dog, and I write about it a lot in my posts, the dog, confidence, it grows within the space, but the same thing happens for the humans, and not just with their dog, but as a human as well. A lot of people have these set mindsets at whether about me, whether about why I have a pit bull, or why this community is here, or anybody else inside this space, because I've seen that before. People have opinions about somebody else's dog wearing a prong collar or an e-collar, why they're doing this. But then as you see, they come to multiple events, they start to change. They start to grow as a human being, and the barriers start to like fizzle away. And I'm just like, I notice it, because like that's why I love this community. I'm just like, that's what we're here for, like the full picture, honestly.
This is something that I've talked about before in other episodes, but I had to work backwards. I had a major surgery that removed the back of my skull. And so when I got my current dog, my youngest dog, Fitz, I knew that he was going to be bigger. He's not big. He's only 50 pounds. But I maybe, looking back, went a little bit extreme with him. And I had him prong collar trained and e-collar trained because I was worried that physically it would be dangerous for me if he was out of control. Because if he pulled me down and I hit the back of my head, that could kill me, right? So maybe I went about it the wrong way. Maybe I went a little bit extreme. I probably would not do that again now, but learning what I've learned from Jerry, learning what I've learned from Madison, learning things that I've learned from watching your account and other dog trainers' account, we have worked backwards. And we just recently bought a custom fit harness and long line, and we successfully go on walks for the first time in 6 years. Like, he was not a dog that liked walks, and here we are trotting down the street every day when he's just happy and joyful about it. And it just makes me so happy to see that. And, I can't even imagine what that must feel like for you to see that every single day with multiple dogs.
I think that's what you said was just the whole thing was, I needed a message written to another person that goes, you did it right there with everything can be a tool, but everything can also be a punishment. And I think that's why I never judge anybody. You bring a dog in the space with a prong collar, e-collar, I'm not going to be like, no, anything can be a tool. I don't know the situation. I don't know anybody's history. I just want to be there to help them. So I'm not going to make somebody feel uncomfortable. Obviously, I watch every dog in the space. I don't want any dog to be harmed. I'll always step to the person quietly and like speak with them if I feel like that's happening. But the biggest thing I tell people, because we're having similar, I always talk to Jerry every day. One thing we talked about today was, it was whatever worked. I've been through slip leads, harnesses. GiGi loves long lead work. But once you help your dog, when they know you're helping them build that confidence, that's when that change happens for them. And I actually told somebody yesterday at an event in Los Angeles, because the thing she wanted to work on was her dog kind of staying with her. Like when she sees other dogs, it's kind of just like reaction, like stay close, like, even on the leash, she didn't want the pull to happen. And I was like, if you're only doing this when you're around other dogs, that's the problem. That's why your dog is frustrated. If you're doing this in home, in front of your home, everything, then your dog's like, okay, she doesn't want this from me just when this is happening. This is just something that we're doing. When the pressure is removed and it's an everyday thing, you start to see the change. And I'm just like, yeah, don't put this pressure on your dog just to do this when they see other dogs. It's not fair to your dog. I said, work on what you want to work on to like re-engage with the dog everywhere, at his favorite spot, at home, everywhere. Then it's almost like a hobby for your dog. Then like it's something that they feel like they have to do.
Well, and I think that the misconception with dog training is that, you have to do it a certain way. It has to be done a certain way. It has to be, every dog learns these 5 commands. Every dog knows how to sit, stay, heel, lay down, whatever. And then that's it. The problem is that, and Jerry says this all the time, I'm sure she said it to you, is that the no skipping steps. And the thing about Jerry's program is that like you realize that you were skipping steps that you didn't even realize that you were skipping. And I think a lot of people don't even know that starting in the home and learning to hand feed and building that bond with your dog and then moving to scatter and then doing leash work, practicing inside outside turns around your coffee table and then maybe the dining room table and then up and down the hallway and then going out into the backyard, things like that. People just don't understand that you can't just take a dog outside and go walk. That's not how it works. We speak 2 totally different languages and they don't know what the word walk means until we teach them this is what it means.
That's the biggest thing. And I tell most people, I was like, hey, we get up at 5 a.m., but it's more just the 5 a.m. Like we're doing it in all of the spaces. We take breaks. It's like she likes to sniff. She likes to people watch. But you said it. I just feel like people just wait till that moment, and that's why I don't like calling it training. I like calling it bonding. It's like, if you tell people it's bonding, I'm not saying like, then they start to feel like, ooh, why am I not bonding? Like they don't care about like not training, right? They don't feel guilty at all. They'll be like, oh, I'll just train when I have to. But if you use the word bonding, they'll be like, ooh, I'm just watching TV. I could be bonding right now. They're not going to be like, ooh, I'm watching TV. I could be training right now. They'll wait for the training. But for the bonding with their dog, it's almost like they're like, I should. I have free time. You only need 10 to 20 minutes to do these type of things. And you can go right back to watching your Netflix show. So it's just like when you hear the word bonding, when you hear how important it is to build your dog's confidence, you're just like, oh, okay. Because like this could be. And then it's also stimulation for your dog. So your dog's like going to get a good nap after it. So it's like it's a win-win. Don't overstimulate your dog. I mean, me and Gigi on an hour and a half, 2 hour walk, we're only bonding for 20, maybe tops 30, if even 30 minutes. We're having a good time. She's having some safaris. We're doing whatever. We're walking. But yeah, so I think that's where the gap starts to happen. Is what you said. People just wait till they go to the outside. And the dog's like, oh no, we're going to the outside. They see the human grab the leash and they're like, oh, that thing. So it's just like, it's a whole thing for them.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of like just, when you look at life as a human too, right? Like perception is everything. If you have a negative association with something, you're going to have a negative association with that. So if you don't teach your dog that it's safe, like you said, in the house, in the backyard, and then successfully on the walk, they're not going to know that it's safe and that it doesn't always mean, oh, we're going to the vet or, oh, we're going, someplace that I don't want to go to, or we're going to grandma's house. They just have to learn that the situation will change and it's okay if it changes. So I think that that's really incredible. You said something about snifaris, and I've had a couple of people talk about these, but I would really like you to elaborate on that because I think it's a really cool thing and a lot of people just don't know about it.
It's the thing that Gigi enjoys most. Snifaris are playing the game Find It. That's her prey drive, is finding things. Like people always ask, like, why she not really like goes crazy over squirrels. I go long lead, sometimes off lead. She'll chase down squirrels, but she won't do anything with them. She's just like finding things through her nose or chasing things down. So Snifaris is our way, especially along walks, especially if it's like new areas she's never been. I usually do long lead, or if it's like, I always try to bring a longer leash when we do those. Anytime we walk, honestly, because within that 20 minutes of her sniffing, or sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, then she's like, I'll go as long as the walk you want me to go on, because I have been stimulated and I am in the happiest mood. And when you're not tugging on them, because they're taking in smells, the database, we call it the database, all these different spots, they're getting all the good stuff. So when they're done, and they'll let you know when they're done, that's my favorite thing to do when we go on safari. She'll look back at me, they'll re-engage, and we'll continue to walk. When we get back home, she sleeps for like 5 or 6 hours. Like, she's worn out. It's like she's just taking all this information in, and now she's just like, I need a nap. And I think that's important, because when you don't let your dog have that space, have that, I don't want to call it freedom, because people freak out. It's like, why would I give dog? I call it freedom. When you give them that space they deserve as another living being on this earth, they're just like, okay, cool. They get it. They get it. Just like how you said earlier, they're not going to learn things until we communicate with them. So it's just really cool to see her find her confidence after she goes off safaris or a long lead or find it. Safaris are important, extremely important. And so are shake offs. You just heard her shake it off. So are shake offs.
Absolutely. And I think that the really cool thing that I have learned, especially about, engaging scent, that is just such a really cool thing, because I was a vet tech for a really long time, and enrichment wasn't something when I was a vet tech that was, well known. It wasn't educated about. It wasn't something that was popular 10 years ago. It was just not a thing that people talked about in the community or in education purposes. And in the last 2 or 3 years, just learning about how working your dog with scent and lick mats and getting them to engage with their environment and what a difference that makes is huge, because I have a dog that is so high energy that there were days that I was just like, I don't know what to do with myself, because we've played fetch for 6 hours and, we can't go on walks because you're reactive, and we can't go for a car ride because you freak out when we get in the car, and, all these things that we were trying to balance out. And it come to find out, it was all because I had made the mistake that a lot of owners make, which is going to the dog park and putting him in a situation that made him uncomfortable. He doesn't like it when other dogs rush him. He doesn't like it when people approach him that he doesn't know. You have to take it slow with Fitz. And, like I said, we're working backwards. We're fixing those things. But I will tell you what, enrichment, lifesaver. It has been a game changer for me. And even just going out in the backyard, and which we haven't really been able to do lately because I live in Iowa and we had 3 feet of snow for the winter. So you can't really do that when it's too cold outside. But now that it's, 70 degrees outside and the grass is starting to grow again, going outside with a food scatter and, bringing him down after he plays fetch for 20 minutes, it makes a huge difference in what happens when we come inside. Instead of him being overstimulated and just all over the place, he actually comes in and hits the bed like done.
I think that's huge, man. I think a lot of people, there's 2 things that always happen when people either message me or come to events. They always want their dogs to have other friends. The whole thing of people wanting dogs to have other friends, I think I hate saying the word weird. We got to go out of that. Like they can, I'm not saying dogs can't have friends. They can have friends, but the obsession as humans we want them to have friends. It's very weird for me. I'm just like, well, do you like all the friends? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And the other thing is exercise versus stimulation. So like whether it's playing with other dogs, playing fetch, doing this, going on runs with your dogs, I was like, that's all cool. You're building up your dog's endurance times 10. I was like, but the stimulating part, it still wants to do other things. So it's just really cool to see people about enrichment, about the things that their dog enjoys doing, just pay attention to it. Like, I now know what GiGi likes to do. It took, almost a year for me to be like, okay, she really likes doing this. But it's those 2 things, that's probably what I have the most discussions around outside of reactivity. Reactivity is probably the number 1 discussion anybody that works in the dog world talks about. But it's the small things that I think matter even more is when you remove the mindset. I always say, don't humanize your dog. But I was like, people, even humans, like we don't even like friends. So I don't even know what people are thinking that their dog should have 10 friends. I was like, your dog's going to let you know. If you know your dog well enough, it'll tell you, like, GiGi doesn't like to be approached by every dog. GiGi doesn't like to be approached by every human. And that's why I love Jerry so much to the adventures I watched with her and Enzo. Your dog enjoys being in a space with you because you're the first human it ever trusted So that's what we should focus on first. And then once you show it, the world is learning the world through you. I think that's the biggest thing people have to realize.
And I absolutely agree with you. I do not think that we should be forcing our dogs to have friends or have interactions with people if they don't want to. I mean, like she said, I'm one of those people. I'd rather be at home with my dogs, just chilling, and maybe have a friend or two over occasionally. But honestly, I'm more of a recluse. I'm totally fine just hanging out with my dogs and that being it. So why would I think that I needed to force that on him? Initially, for me, it wasn't even about the other dogs. It was just about the fact that I lived in an apartment and he had too much energy and I didn't know what to do with him.
Right.
Unfortunately, situations at dog parks, as you know, can get pretty terrifying sometimes. And with him not enjoying it as it was, and then me, having to break up dog fights every other time we were there, it was just not worth it. I think it was about the 6th or 7th time that I went and I was like, we're not doing this anymore. I'm done. I can't keep doing it because this lady's lab just bit somebody. And now she's yelling at me because I touched her dog, even though it was biting somebody else's dog.
Yeah, that's one thing. And I think, it's so fun. I've said Jerry's name so many times on this podcast.
It's okay. We love her.
Yeah. The first thing she asked me was, she was like, how are you doing all these events and you're an introvert like me? I said, it's my social life. It's like my 2-for-1 special. I was like, this is my social life, Jerry. I was like, that's how I'm getting away with it. And it is difficult because that is the biggest task. The biggest task is not the dog's reactivity. It's not dealing with, it's humans. Like their inability to respect space or acknowledge the fact that anything with their dog. I never say there's a bad dog. It's a bad owner. I'm just like, we're just trying to get you to control the dog so that both dogs are safe. So it's really hard. That's the hardest part about every event that I have is the other humans around the space or sometimes even in the space because we have so much entitlement or ego that we put dogs at risk, dogs and humans sometimes, So I think that's the biggest thing that we have to work through. And you're not going to break through with everybody, but you got to just always say the same phrase. You got to take the wins,
100% take the wins. But also, I think that's something that's really important that you just said. When you go to events like that, make sure that your social battery is charged. Don't go into one of those events when you're not ready to deal with people. Don't go into that event when you're not willing to be around other dogs. Because, this right here, this is my social interaction. This is the thing that fuels my fire, is having these one-on-one conversations with people and then sharing them with the large population so that people can learn from stuff like this, so that they can hear these experiences and understand we're not judging you. We're here to help you. And, we want to set you, as Jerry says, up for success. We're not trying to make you feel bad. We're not trying to point you out and make an example of you. We're trying to help you be the best you for you so that you can succeed in your relationship with your dog. So make sure that you do have the proper mindset when you join into something like this. And I think that, there's a lot of people out there that do pack walks, and that's kind of what you guys do, but you do it on such a big scale and you space everybody out so much that to me, it feels more like an event than like a walk. And I love that because everybody is involved, but they're all doing their own thing at the same time, which is just so cool.
That's a very cool thing you said. It's so funny. I kind of made a post about that today. Like when you're involved in things, you don't really see everything, but you just broke it down. But I always tell people that I was like, that's what it is. It's not about the surroundings. I was like, the surroundings are I like to have them because that helps your dog work through things, but you should focus on the space more than the surroundings. So I think that's pretty important. Everybody's on their own journey. So that's what I'm going to start saying. You just said that. Everybody's with each other, but everybody's in their own journey in their own space. So that's pretty much what we do. Like we have 20, 30 dogs sometimes, and everybody's just on their own journey. And I think that's what people need to realize is like, don't compare. I say this all the time. Do not compare your dog to my dog, because GiGi, first of all, has 20 different sides. She's absolutely nuts, but she's absolutely amazing in every way. She's trying to find her lamb chop toy right now. But yeah, I think that's what it is. It's the comparison thing that drives people nuts. remove that and just be in that space with your dog. And even at the event, sometimes people get caught up and see how that dog's doing so good with the other person. That's why I space it out. And that's why we always do check-ins. We do different bonding exercises. I always say, take the wins. Whatever win your was today, whatever win you got, it was still a win. You go home with the wins. And we go home before the dog becomes too overstimulated. Take home the wins. It helps you. It helps your dog. And that's what these events are for.
Well, and that's another thing that's really important too, is knowing where that threshold is. And we can plug Jerry again here by plugging that managing arousal course, because understanding how to read your dog's body language and knowing like, whoa, I just played with you for 4 hours and I didn't give you the enrichment and the sniffing that you needed, as well as giving you the hyperstimulation of playing fetch. And now you've just gone into complete overdrive and you're acting like a Tasmanian devil in the living room. My bad. But now, because we've learned we do better, we go outside, we play fetch for however long it takes to wear him down physically. And then we come inside and we have a lick mat and we wind down, and then we lay down and we can watch Netflix and hang out and do whatever, versus, me constantly feeling like I need to pull my hair out because he's still got go in him.
I think that's what people don't do. It's what we do too. So that's one thing. Like, you're bringing up all the good highlights. Like, you're like doing my thing that I tell people at our events, but you're just doing it for me. Is the decompress is so important. At the end of our walks, we will sit there for 20 to 30 minutes before any dog get back in that car to go. Because like, for your dog to go straight from a 20, 30 dog pack walk with all these new dogs, these new surroundings, and go back home, you're setting yourself up and you're setting your dog up for failure. Decompress. Let your dog know it's a safe space. Let your dog know that all these other dogs are also cool. So we'll sit with our dog, we'll chat with each other, and eventually that dog will literally like lay out, do the little sploot, may even take a nap. And I'm just like, your dog's good now. It's good. So it's like the decompress is my favorite part, because I get to learn more and I get to see more of the bonding part at the end of the walk, because that's a win. So somebody makes it at the end of the walk, they're already happy. They're like, oof. My dog didn't react. So it's just like, and then we get to decompress. Decompress for the human and the dog, which people don't realize that. It's like, let woosah. We got to the end of the walk.
And that's another thing too. And this is a point that I like to bring up fairly often, is that, dogs smell human emotion. So if you go into a situation and your anxiety is revved up, your dog can smell that, and your dog is going to react to that because your dog knows how you are in those situations. So when you do something like this, you need to walk in with confidence and calm. And it's okay to be nervous. I mean, your dog's probably nervous too. But if you don't show some kind of like stability, because I don't want to we don't want to go into like the dominance terms or the authority or anything like that. Just show some stability. Just show some level-headedness. Because yeah, you're going to be emotional. This is going to be an emotional experience for you. It should be, because you're bonding with your dog. So go in with a little bit of stability. And if it gets to be too much, that's what the exit is for. Walk away. Try again next week. Try again in 2 days. Just, follow Aaron's page and look for all of the walks and go.
So we tell people, I always speak about him. One of my favorite dogs is Waylon. First time he came, he had to wear a muzzle. Just made his mom feel way more comfortable. He was there maybe for like 20 minutes. And she was like, I'm going to take this win. He found his calm. I said, take that win. And so he kept on coming. Now he goes on 2-hour walks with us. And we always tell people, break away. And guess what? You don't have to stay for the whole walk. This is not, when it says 10 to 12 in the morning, you don't have to stay till 12. I said, I honestly don't want to stay till 12, but I have to. I was like, it's my event. I was like, but you can break away at any time. And the thing about breaking away, you don't feel bad about breaking away. And you can, go to the back of the line, just go home if you want to, go on a safari in the middle of the walk. This isn't some type of thing to where you just have to walk. And I think that's one thing I like about most of the trainers I talk to or I work with, where I'm just like, look, man, structured walks are very cool. It's just like, but you got to give the dog something, So it's just like, I do set intentions before we go out the door. I never really try to go beyond an hour if we're doing a structured walk. But even in that hour or 2 hours when me and GiGi are walking, she gets to go on a 10-minute break. We take breaks in the events. I take breaks for GiGi among the walks. And I feel like if you're not breaking, and some dogs like it. I tell most people every dog is different. Like my friend has a pit bull healer mix, the herding dog. A lot of dogs like that structured walk the whole time. That is their stimulation. Like I see it in their face. Like I don't want to break away from it. Like I'm good. And then they like to break at the end. So it's just like, you got to know your dog, and you got to know yourself. You got to be confident in yourself and in your dog. So it's like, you got to, it's a trust thing both ways.
Do you find when you're working with people and dogs in this situation, do the owners' personalities match the dogs' personalities, or do you see a lot of difference?
That's a great question. So yes and no. And the reason why I say yes is if their dog is anxious or reactive, the human is anxious and reactive, but it's a more defense. Well, it's actually just like the dog. It's more a defense mechanism, so it's just like, and then if the dog is, calm and so I guess, it's more like that. I think it's whatever. And how do I explain this to people? If your dog is reactive, and I say this too, because like I also work in sales in my regular day job, you cannot match that energy. It makes it worse, in some cases, right? So it's like, even if your dog is super chill, like you could be chill, but it's just like, you also still want to be aware for the dog. If your dog is super reactive, you can't just sit here and be like, oh, I'm right there with you. Like it just intensifies everything. So the thing I tell people, GiGi is sometimes chill. GiGi is sometimes like ready for action. But what I'm doing is I call it a balance. I'm keeping a balanced feeling to make sure I'm continuously building a healthy environment for her. So it's just like, what does that mean? That means like if we're somewhere, we're sitting down, our back is to somewhere, so nothing's going to shock her, surprise her, or scare her. If we're walking, I am looking out for her trigger so she doesn't have to. Am I doing it like anxiety still? No, because I know that if we work together, she's going to be fine. So it's just like, I'm staying in the zone while she gets to stay in her zone. So we both have our zones, but we're both doing it for each other. So I think that's people have to realize it's difficult. Listen, I'm still human. I have to catch myself, because sometimes I know that doodles are her trigger. What do? I'm giving space. I was like, we're not even gonna do this today. I was just like, so it's easier said than done. But once you just get it, and I just should like say it like that, then you get it. And you're just like, oh, okay. There's going to be reaction. And I think that's where people, obviously if you have a more reactive dog, you think your dog is reaction is just out of this world. Every dog is reactive, whether it's a squirrel, a paper bag flying, a vacuum going off. But when you put that in your mind that every person and every dog is reactive with the right trigger, it kind of makes you feel better about your dog being reactive, because then you see like, oh, every living thing has a trigger, so it's just like, how do we work through those? And I think that's what we try to help people like understand. I was like, look, you're not seeing GiGi's trigger right now, but if a doodle walks by, we have a problem. So that's all it is. It's try to get people to see like your dog is just as amazing and just as special as anybody else's dog. Then like I feel like, I don't know how many dogs I've met. They asked me this yesterday at an event. I can't count, but it's so cool because as many dogs as I have met, they're all so cool in their own way. Like, so it's like I get to see it outside looking in. So it's just like to see that, I'm just like, yeah, every dog truly is different. Every human truly is different. So that's the special part for me.
Completely agree with you. Like, I think that everybody has their triggers, and humanizing that the way that you just did, and helping people understand that, hey, your dog is going to have triggers. You have triggers. I mean, people get upset by people who chew too loudly or drink funny out of a straw. Like, how can we not expect our dogs to get, triggered by certain things? That we're human. We do it too. And to not expect our dogs to have feelings or opinions about things is silly, because they are also living beings that have their own brain, and they think about things in their own way that we may never totally understand. But I think that, advocating for them and helping them speak is just so important. And I really think that you're doing such an amazing job of that. So on that note, what is your goal? Like, what is the next step?
That is a great question. I feel like my dad asked me this yesterday when I was getting back from Los Angeles. My goal, number one is to be an umbrella of just not just dogs. And I think that's what, it started off as bully breeds and everything, just humans too. And what we talked about earlier, people facing stigmas, me facing racism. I don't care what the differences are. It's just like society has put so many barriers up for us to be divided. We're on our own little cubicle. Like, I'm not even gonna look over. It's just to do that. It's continue to grow this, but everywhere, and to bring, and that's why I love what we're doing here in Southern California, San Diego, Los Angeles. Now we have businesses being involved, so you have more businesses, more humans. So that's my thing, is growing this to a point to where no matter who joins, no matter what type of dog you have, that you're seen, and that you're heard, and that you're felt, and that you're loved. And I know Jerry and I both face a lot of battles in the industry that we're in, just in the community that we're in society. And sometimes it could be, looked at as exhausting or draining, but we just know that regardless, we got to just push forward. And so that's what's important to me, is that community is very important to me. I want to see people that look like me, or people from anybody that has had a tough time, whether it's a dog or a human, be able to be in a space and feel heard, and we see change. And it's not just the same thing we've already seen in the past to continue happening. So change is my goal.
I love that. And I'm here for it. And like I said, as soon as I can get out to California with the podcast, I'm going to be out there, and I'm going to bring my dog, and we're going to go on the walk, and we're going to revisit this. And if that's not by next year, then I would love to do this again with you. I would love to sit down and have you update everybody and kind of just tell everybody where you're at on your journey and all the things that have changed and how you and Gigi are growing together, and, obviously what you've learned along the way, because I think what you're doing is so important, and I'm here for it. And I also, hope that I can learn from you, so that maybe we can spread this to here in Iowa, and I can, do it here and be part of it with you for, the Iowa community, because I'm sure that there are people here that would love to be a part of it as well.
That'd be super cool. I would love that. That's the next step to traveling.
Well, you are absolutely welcome here anytime. I would love to have you. And I definitely, Gigi is one of my, she's one of my wish list dogs. She's one of the ones that I definitely want to meet. I love her. She has so much personality. Her little side eye that she gives is like probably the most legit side eye I've ever seen in my life. And I absolutely love her.
Thank you.
I think we're probably just going to wrap it up for now. And obviously, I'm going to be in touch. So thank you, Aaron, so much for being here. I truly appreciate you. And we are definitely going to be collaborating soon. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Make sure you check out Aaron and Sweet GiGi. And we will see you guys next week on Straight Up Dog Talk.
Straight Up Dog Talk was created by Emily Breslin. It is edited, produced, and co-hosted by Josh Wasta under the supervision of Straight Up Dog Talk, LLC, and Emily Breslin. If you're enjoying this podcast, follow or subscribe to be sure you don't miss an episode, and leave us a review on your favorite platform. Looking for more honest and relatable dog content? Check out our sister show, Unpacked, with Jerry Sheriff and Madison Simpson. Thanks for listening to Straight Up Dog Talk. See you next week.